Well, thank you for joining us for tonight's This Body Doesn't Do Yoga, How to Make a Virtual Movement Practice Work for You. I'm Greg Berry, Assistant Director in the UAB Office of Alumni Affairs. Tonight, as the webinar name suggests, we're coming to you virtually, of course. With that in mind, please apologize, or we apologize in advance if there are any glitches or things that seem out of place. If you do experience any issues with the audio or video, click the reconnect button at the top of your screen and you will be returned to the webinar quickly. Now, before we introduce tonight's guests, I do want to ask a quick question, and that question is pretty simple. Have you ever done yoga before? The answer is yes or no. Go ahead, I'm going to keep this up for a few moments as you select your answer. After tonight's movement practice, we will let you know that we will have this for a review tomorrow, so you can watch this and use it as you begin your movement practice. If you do have any questions throughout the evening, I will be interacting with Meredith, so go ahead and drop those questions in the chat. I will make sure that we have an opportunity to answer them as we go through the evening. It looks like we have a winner, if you want to say it's a winner. About 2/3 of you in attendance have done yoga before. That means 1/3 has not. And that makes this a very interesting evening to see how things go for you. I would love to know how things are going in the chat as well. So as we introduce our guest tonight, let me go ahead and get things up for you all. And there she is. Tonight we do welcome Meredith Calhoun. Meredith is an RYT 200, which means she knows her stuff, especially about yoga. The designation is given to yoga teachers who have completed 200 hours of yoga training with the Yoga Alliance. She is a longtime friend of the National Alumni Society, and her husband, Wes, is a UAB alum. So at this time, I would like to turn things over to Meredith. The platform is yours.
Thank you, Greg, and good evening, everyone. As Greg told you already, my name is Meredith Calhoun. I'm really excited to be able to work with you all tonight to help you establish a virtual practice, movement practice in yoga. Yoga is a Sanskrit word, and it essentially means union. Union of the breath and movement of the body and the mind. It is an ancient tradition that I would like to say we are all most fortunate has been westernized and even Americanized, so that it is a healing practice that is available to all of us worldwide. So I hope that you're here to learn a bit, to broaden your perspective a little bit, and of course, we're going to move together tonight. So just a little bit about me. First and foremost, I am a blazer. Green and gold. I did not graduate from the University of, I did not graduate from UAB. That said, I am a resident of Birmingham, Alabama. And as a community member here and a resident here, UAB is my school. And it's been really exciting to be able to be involved with the National Alumni Society and to have this opportunity to talk to you guys tonight. So thanks for having me. What do I know about yoga? As Greg mentioned, I have been through several trainings that qualify me to be sitting in front of you tonight, but I have a journey too that I feel like is important that I want to share with you. I am a recovering and an actively recovering commercial real estate executive, which is a very high stress and high intensity industry. I came to yoga though, I've been in this industry for 15 years, but I came to yoga more than 15 years ago when at a young age, I lost my father. He was young, I was young. And when I lost him, I was grieving to be sure, but I was a bit lost. And I was looking for some kind of distraction, you know, some place to put my mind. And to me, the gym and group fitness felt like a safe place for that to happen. And so it was really at the gym where I was introduced to yoga and where I really fell in love with yoga. So it was about the regulars in that class, their dedication, their flexibility, their strength, their physique, the teachers, the music, the movement, it all really spoke to me at the time. And, you know, I fell in love with it and I practiced it from time to time. But as the years went on, for one reason or another, I just cycled in and out of a regular practice. And then in 2015, having had a nice long successful run in commercial real estate, I was at a personal breaking point yet again. I was feeling a bit lost yet again. And though you wouldn't recognize it on the outside, I sort of had all the appearances of a successful person, professionally and personally. I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. Things were not good on the inside. And so forever the seeker, I went back to yoga. I came back into what I knew and what I was reading and was hearing would help to create and provide some balance and some flexibility and some strength again for me. But I was coming back this time with an older body and maybe a more weary mind. So I did. I turned to yoga for strength and balance on the physical space. It was more about my heart and soul. And, you know, I tell you all that to tell you that there's many benefits to yoga, but people come to it from many different areas and from many different directions. So for every teacher, every body, every mind has some potential to benefit from yoga on any given day. But there's also that potential of harm, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So as you can expect from any sort of coming together or training or learning about something on a deeper level, the biggest challenges for me in yoga also presented some of the greatest rewards. I mean, what yoga did for me as I really got deeper into the practice was it helped me recognize how really out of touch I was with not just my physical body, but with my own heart's desires as well. So you can advance that slide for me, Greg. Okay, so you guys may or may not identify on some levels with my personal path to yoga, but you're here with me tonight, which means that you have your own path and you have your own story and you have your own reasons for being here. And that probably means too that you've been to a yoga class, or you maybe are following a local studio in your town or here in Birmingham, and you maybe have some heroes or some folks that you look up to in the yoga scene. And if you're doing research online on yoga, you're probably seeing images like what's in front of you right now. Greg, advance the slide. That's when you say, this body does not do yoga. And I just want you to know that all bodies really can do yoga. Advance the slide, Greg. A regular yoga practice professes a myriad of benefits from all sorts of sources, from medical sources to just ancient traditions. So you can see them listed here. But for me personally, yoga taught me two really important things. As I've told you, it kind of taught me how out of touch I was with myself physically and emotionally. But advance the slide, Greg. What we're really gonna be focused on tonight is the art of listening and the gift of awareness. Better awareness physically and emotionally. And whatever I tend to learn in the physical practice of yoga, it seems there's a direct application in real life, meaning I've been saying the three words, balance, flexibility, and strength. Well, those are physical, have a physical place in our body, but they also have sort of an emotional place in our life, right? So I feel like I learned so much on my mat that I then take out into the world with me, like in difficult decision-making processes or hard discussions with family and friends. So this art of listening and gift of awareness are obviously things that you can think are really important as you take your person out into the world and interact with the world. And listening and awareness are probably two of the most critical skills that you need in a good virtual practice, because in a virtual practice, it really is just you. You may talk a friend into coming in your living room with you and being part of your practice, but the art of listening is so critical to be able to hear not only the instructions that are being given to you without straining your neck to watch something that's really hard to see on a tiny screen, but also that art of listening to what your body is asking for from you. So let's advance the slide, Greg. So I want to talk a little bit about my teachers. I've had two really amazing teachers through teacher training, but they come from such different approaches. Brian Kest is out of the West Coast, and really I've only had one in-person class with Brian Kest, which is kind of amazing for him to be a teacher, but he's been a virtual teacher to me. I did meet him in person when I was traveling in California for work. And I loved the in-person class, but this was several years ago, and it was sort of a foreign idea to me at the time that I could have that kind of class experience in my own home. But it turns out that he was on sort of he was a pioneer of that online space and had been recording studio classes in his San Monica studio for years and years, and had this excessive library of classes that were available to me. So at that time, I became hooked on a virtual practice in my own home, having a really tight schedule for work and just an inability to connect with a local studio. Brian was a great option for me. So I took his online teacher training, connected with him virtually, and learned two really great lessons from Brian. He introduced me to the idea of the rat race mentality, which we'll talk a little bit more about. And then also that the idea that your body is your most important and vital life partner. So about the rat race mentality, we are a culture of comparers and fierce competitors. I don't think anyone can disagree with that. It may not display itself at all times, but it is very much the way our culture has been structured as Americans. And that does not serve you well in yoga. It just simply does not. There is no space for competition in yoga. Not that there aren't yoga competitions, but I would say there's no space for competition in yoga. And what I really learned about being able to practice yoga in my own home was that I was not only comparing and competing with other people in classes that I had taken in the past, but I was also competing with myself. That I would walk into a space and onto my mat and have expectations of myself, or remembrances of past events or past classes that I'd taken and my performance in those. So it was really interesting to be able to be alone in a room where I could not be seen, nor could I see, practicing yoga. And that really helped me to get in touch with my addiction to the rat race mentality, to the idea that I need to constantly be comparing and competing. The second thing, again, is that our body is our most loyal life partner. And our bodies are, for most of us, pretty much dutifully responding to whatever we ask it to do. And our body has one language with us, that is sensation. You know, what we're feeling when we're moving our body about. And so that sensation is the only language that our body has to speak to us. And if we are constantly pushed past pain or fear or tiredness, then we're basically, it's sort of like telling your partner that that you don't really care what they have to say. You know? Okay, I heard that, but I need you to shut up right now, is essentially what you're saying to your body. And so I think we have been all been brought up in a culture that sort of encourages us to keep going, keep going, keep going. And by all means, that's appropriate in certain settings, but it's not appropriate in the setting of yoga. And so this is really important for you to know, even when you get back to an in-person studio, there really is no yoga teacher who can answer your questions about what is right for you. You have to ask your body and you have to heed its response. So on the other end of the spectrum, my teacher is Becca Impello. She is here local in Birmingham, and you need to know that she's a Blazer too. So she's a physical therapist, and she studied at UAB, finished her PT school in the 90s there, and she's been teaching in Birmingham for many, many years. Some of you may know her, and if you've taken her class, I know that you love her. Her PT background allows her to have an immense knowledge base about the body. And she's been able to put together classes that really are truly accessible for every type of body, which I think is so special because yoga studios want to be so welcoming. Come on in, everyone's welcome, everyone can do these practices, but not every teacher truly knows how to provide the modifications or the verbal cues that someone like Becca does. So the big gift that I took away from training with Becca was and is that it's okay to slow down. As a matter of fact, it's probably better to slow down. So Brian's classes are very fast moving. Becca's classes were very slow and measured. And this was a lesson that I needed to learn, not just on the yoga mat, but out in the world as well. So one thing about Becca is that as a PT, she really loved to be in person with people. She was absolutely the teacher who was not a pioneer in bringing her classes online. COVID had to force that. She really thrives on being in person with people and being able to see exactly what they're doing and what their issues are or problems are and being able to help with those. But to be quite frank, her students, especially through COVID, have been so blessed to be able to create a space and access her classes virtually. And so she does offer 3 classes a week that obviously anyone, anywhere now can take advantage of. And as Greg alluded to earlier, she has graciously offered a free pass to one of her classes. And so you'll be given that information. I hope you'll check that out and take advantage of that. Okay, advanced slide, please. Okay, so great news for you. There are great teachers out there, really great yoga teachers, great online offerings for all sorts of fitness levels or all sorts of fitness offerings. And so that means you're in the driver's seat finally, right? Like you can pick your schedule, you can pick your types of movement classes that you want to take, and above all, you have more privacy. Because yoga is so personal, I feel like privacy is really quite critical, right? It's so personal, so it's so important to be in your own setting and be able to focus on you and your body and your practice. Advanced slide. So you're asking, so if I want to start a yoga practice, how much time do I need to devote to this? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, a yoga practice is any practice linking your breath to your movement or your mind to your body. I'm happy with 5 minutes as long as you are paying attention to what your body needs on that day for that day. And I really don't think you'd ever need more than 90 minutes. And a 90-minute yoga practice really does mean that you are working on a particular, you're spending a lot of time to work on a particular pose. And you could certainly achieve a lot, I would say, between 30 to 60 minutes in a given day. So it's really about regularity, creating a practice that is creating the right kind of patterns for you. And where, advanced slide. So where can you find some virtual classes? Look, where can you not find them, right? Your local studios are probably online now. And they've really gotten the hang of it now. So I would say if you have a local studio that you love, check that out. I did put up Becca's information there, Here Now Yoga at Punch Pass. So you can check out her schedule there and take advantage of that. I don't want to caution against anything. I want to caution against everything. So it's out there. But again, I think there's a couple of things that you want to focus on when you're trying out or auditioning your teachers. One is that, are they good at giving audible cues for poses? And that means so you don't have to constantly look at a tiny screen. And two, are they offering a variety of modifications? Meaning, are they giving you different ways to interact with the pose? And three, are the classes getting sort of refreshed? Are you having access to new and different classes on a regular basis? And I think that's pretty much it. Advanced slide. So, there's a few more things that you need for your virtual practice. The audiovisual part you have probably mastered if you're on this webinar. You may feel like I could use a larger screen. You may feel like you can't hear well enough. I would say you want to be able to hear more than you want to be able to see. Of course, a yoga mat is always helpful. It is not required. I think a non-slip, sticky surface is more important than a mat. So however you achieve that, sometimes for me, if I'm traveling in a hotel room, I can use a towel just under my hands on this low pile carpet that may be in the hotel room. I'm giving away my secrets and you're probably like, oh my goodness. Let's see here, a bolster. You don't have to buy a bolster. Bolsters are great. I use them to elevate my hips off the ground, but a firm pillow in your house does just as well. Actually, go ahead, Greg, and advance the next slide for me because I've got, yeah, perfect. So I've got all of the substitutes. So you don't have to feel like you have to have these yoga props. Blocks are really great to have, but a stack of books does really well. I would say books instead of magazines because magazines tend to be slippery. A blanket. This could be any blanket. It can be a yoga blanket. You could call this a Mexican blanket. Any kind of throw or blanket that can be neatly folded up like this will serve you well. And then a strap. So the strap could be a yoga strap like this. They're not expensive. It could also be an old tie, a belt, the belt from your bathrobe, for instance. And last but not least, for some of you, you may benefit from having a chair. Any of you who do not need to or want to get up and down off the floor, don't want to be on your hands and knees, a chair does a really great job of allowing you to do so. Bring the chair in and out of practice today with us. Have found for yourself, and let's get moving. We're going to start seated. So any way that is comfortable for you. Again, I like to sit on a bolster, but if you do not want to be seated on the ground or on your hands and knees, just make sure your chair is on a surface that is not going to slide out from under you. So it needs to be kind of on a sticky surface. And if you prefer to sit in a chair, just make sure your chair does not have arms. So we'll start seated. Just find yourself comfortable. This will be here for just a few minutes. And so in any practice of yoga, you want to start out by centering yourself into your space and into your body. And a great way to do that is with a little bit of breath work. And there's so many techniques. We're going to keep it really simple tonight. I'm going to encourage you to close your eyes now. And if it's uncomfortable to close your eyes, see if you can soften your gaze pretty severely into one spot, like almost fuzzy your gaze if closing your eyes doesn't feel comfortable. And just rest your arms to your sides or your hand, your lap. And if you can close your lips and narrow your breathing to your nostrils, let's do that as well. And just start to smooth out your breath. Notice the air as it enters your nose. And then again, how it feels as it comes out your nose. Take a deep breath in and fill your lungs as completely as possible. And then exhale, empty out the lungs. See if while you're inhaling and exhaling, you can use the same count for your inhales and your exhales. Just smooth out the breath, but also normalize the breath. So it's the same 3 counts in and the same 3 counts out. And with your eyes closed or your gaze softened, see if you can just connect with this breath without any extra thoughts. Just don't hang on to anything as it comes along to you. And then a couple clearing breaths now. Deeply inhale. Fill the lungs nice and full. And then open your lips and exhale it out. Make some noise. Next inhale. See if you can make some noise as you inhale in through the nose and then open the lips and let it out. Last one like that. Inhale nice and deep in through the nostrils. Open the lips. Let it out. And if your eyes are closed, just slowly flutter those open. We're going to start just to loosen up the neck and shoulders. So inhale your arms up and over your head. Palms coming towards one another at the top, glancing up through the palms. And then exhale, bring those arms down to your side. Inhale one more time. Arms up overhead, glancing up. Head back. And then exhale, head back to center, arms down to the side. Inhale your right arm up overhead. Glance up at the hand and reach up with the right arm as you exhale. Lean over to the left, stretching through the right side body. And then inhale, arm back down to your side. And exhale, just see how that feels. Now inhale your left arm up and over your head, glancing up at the left hand if that feels good. And then exhale, leaning over to the right side, stretching out through the left side body. Inhale back up to center and exhale, drop that left down. Now I want you to take your gaze over your right shoulder, nice and easy on an inhale. Then exhale your gaze back to center. Inhale your gaze to the left, over the left shoulder, maybe even bringing your eyeballs up into the left corners, and then exhale back to center. Inhale, gaze up, chin towards the ceiling. And then exhale, let's look down, chin towards the chest. Inhale your head back to center. And just see, go sort of back through those movements in your mind. Where did you sort of feel a little tightness? You can go back through the spectrum, bringing your right ear towards your right shoulder. And then exhaling the head back to center. Inhaling the left ear to the left shoulder. And then exhale, bring the head back to center. And if you feel like you had some sticky spots anywhere in that circle, go ahead and take some gentle movements towards that sticky spot. So for me, it was when I brought my chin down to my chest. So chin to chest. And just move around with your own breath. Head side to side. Chin over the shoulder. Just get a little movement in that neck. And then on your next inhale, let's raise the shoulders up towards the ears. And then exhale, bring the shoulders back behind you and drop them down. A couple more like that. Inhale, shoulders up towards ears. Exhale, back and down the shoulders. Inhale, shoulders up towards ears. Exhale, back and down. Now next inhale, I want you to bring your left hand over to your right knee and right hand out towards the back. If you're on a chair, just behind the chair. And if you're on a cushion or just on the ground, to the ground behind you. So just a nice gentle twist over to the right hand side. Take a deep breath in as you glance over your right shoulder and then exhale back to center. Inhale in the center and exhale here. Next inhale, bring your right hand over to your left knee, left hand behind you. And exhale here, stay. And then take a nice deep breath in, bring that gaze over the left shoulder. And exhale, come back to center. Now we'll come to our backs. So I'll move my prop out of the way here, way out of the way so you can see me. And this prop out of the way. And just make your way gently onto your back. So we're going to bring the soles of our feet to the floor beneath us, and our knees are bent and up towards the ceiling. So just take a couple of gentle rocks of the knees side to side. Let the right knee lean in towards the left knee in towards the right, and even let the outer knees come out towards the sides of your mats. And see if you can bring your core or bring your belly button in towards your spine and make sure that that lower back is engaged or touching the ground below you as you just sort of rock the knees from side to side. And now straighten your legs out straight in front of you. Bend the right knee only and bring the right knee up into the chest. So grab onto that right leg somewhere. It could be behind the thigh. It could be on top of the shin. Just bring that right knee in towards the chest. Take a deep breath in here. And when you exhale, straighten out that right leg. Inhale, bring the left knee in towards the chest. Deep breath in here with that knee hugged in tight. And then exhale, straighten out that left leg. Now we're bringing the sole of the right foot to the ground, bend the right knee. And same thing with the left, bring the left sole of the foot to the ground. And we're just gonna do some marches. So bring the sole of the right foot up towards the wall in front of you and shin parallel to the ceiling. And then exhale, put that down. Inhale, pick up the left leg, same thing. Shin is parallel to the ceiling, sole of the left foot pointed towards the edge of your mat. And then exhale, put that down. A couple more marches with your own breath. Inhale, bring the right knee up. Exhale, put it down. Inhale, left knee up. Exhale, put it down. Straighten out that right leg if you want to take it a little further. Inhale the right leg straight as an arrow. And then exhale, put that down. Inhale, lift the right leg up. Exhale, put that right leg down. Now bend the right knee, put the sole of the foot on the ground, and straighten out your left leg this time. Nice and long, nice and straight. Energy shooting out of the bottom of the foot. And inhale, lift that left leg, keeping it straight any amount. And exhale, put it down. Inhale, lift that left leg. Exhale, put it down. And one more time. Inhale the left leg up. And exhale, just bend it. So soles of the feet are on the ground now, about hips width distance apart. I wanted you to take the palms of your hands and bring them down towards your hips. So your arms are flat to the ground, palms flat on the ground, and just see if you can graze the edges of your heels. It's certainly okay if you are nowhere close. Your heels could be a little bit further out, but I do want them hips width distance. Press into the soles of the feet and inhale, lift the hips up off the ground and hold there as you exhale. So this is a hip bridge. Inhale, squeeze the buttocks, and exhale, put that down. If this is simply too much for you, but you did enjoy the lift in the hips, then you can press into the soles of the feet, get your block or your blanket, and inhale the buttocks up, and then exhale, just drop that, drop the hips right onto the block. And you can just hang out here for a bit as we do a few more movements like that. So pressing into the soles of the feet, inhale, lift the hips up, stay up as you exhale, and squeeze. Squeeze in the buttocks, squeeze the quadriceps, the tops of the thighs. One last inhale here, and then exhale, put that down. Now we're just gonna rock and roll our way to our hands and knees. So I like to do a few rocks and rolls because my body weight is giving me a nice little massage on the backs of, on my back, basically. So just grab behind your knees and rock and roll your way up to a seated position. And then just make an easy transition over to your hands and knees. If you are not about hands and knees, no worries at all. This is a great time to grab your chair, and you can do most of the movements that we're doing with this chair from our hands and knees. You can also take a blanket now. This is a great time to use your blanket and put it underneath your knees just to provide a little extra cushion. So hands right below shoulders, knees right below hips, about hip width distance apart, and we'll do some cat-cows. So this is just a little bit of spinal work, nice and easy. I want you to inhale, drop your belly down towards the ground, and bring your head and gaze and chin up towards the ceiling. On an exhale, reverse that. Drop that chin towards your chest, head to hang heavy down below, and then tuck in the hips and bring the belly towards the spine. Inhale, cow facing pose. Hips are facing upward, bellies drop towards the ground, shoulders are down away from your ears, and your gaze is up. Exhale, reverse that. Drop your hips down and bring your head and ears in between your arms. Couple more at your own pace. And if you're on a chair, then you're doing the same movement in and out with the chair. After your last cat pose, come back to a neutral spine. And here I'm going to offer a couple of modifications, but we're going to bring our toes back behind us. So the right toes straighten out and come to the ball of the foot with the right leg right behind you. And then bring your left arm parallel to the ground, right out in front of your head. So your ear and your bicep are about at the same level, and your hand, the palm of your hand is facing towards the center line of your body and reaching out like you're shaking someone's hand, which we don't do anymore. And then if you want to take this just a touch further, you can take your awareness to the sole of your right foot and pick that right foot up. So your right leg is parallel to the ground, your left arm is parallel to the ground. Take a deep breath in here, and then put everything down. So bring your right knee to meet the left knee on the mat, and then we'll go to the other side. So left sole of the foot, or ball of the foot rather, extends out behind you, and you can stay right here if you like. You can also just bring your right fingertips out in front of you if you prefer to do that, rather than to bring your right arm parallel to the ground. But if you're comfortable bringing your right arm parallel to the ground, again, your palm is facing towards the center line. Your ear and your bicep are about level. And now you could pick up that left leg nice and straight behind you. Take a nice deep breath in here. And then exhale, put it all down. So one more time, let's take a nice deep breath in and cow facing pose where your belly drops down and your gaze comes up. And then exhale, Drop the head down, curl the hips under. All right, inhale back to a neutral spine, and let's try that hand and knees balancing pose one more time. So inhale your right toes back behind you and your left fingertips to the mat in front of you, or your left arm straight out parallel to the ground. You can pick that right leg up on an inhale and think about extending fingertips away from heel. And last inhale, then exhale, put that down. One more time on the left side, bring the left toes back, right fingertips forward, or you could bring the right palm to the center line and the right arm parallel to the ground. Lift up that left leg. Nice. Okay, let's put that down on an exhale. So next inhale, I want you to step your right foot forward in between your hands. So we'll just do a kneeling half lunge. Your right heel should be right below your right knee. And just start to sort of shimmy your toes forward if you would like, and sink down into this lunge. This is a great time to bring the floor closer to you with your blocks. So it was very helpful to have the blocks with you on any height. You can see there's 3 different heights: a lower, a medium, and an upper. It's a great way to keep your spine straight as you sink lower into a lunge. So if you're using blocks or books right now, that's great. If you would like to take this pose just a little bit deeper, you could bring your hands off of the blocks up towards the sky and glance up in the middle of your fingertips. Just sinking down nice and deep into this half kneeling lunge. I just do want to point out right now to you that my knee is still over my ankle. It is not jutting out over my foot. So that will help keep your knee and your ankle safe. Just make sure to walk that foot out so that it's safe for your knee. All right, next inhale, bring that right knee back to meet the left knee. And then inhale, bring the left foot forward for the same lunge on the other side. We can use our blocks again to bring the floor up closer to us. Walk those toes forward so that your left knee is right over your left ankle. If you wanted to take this just a little further, pick those arms up or hands up off of the blocks. Start to reach up towards the ceiling with the fingertips, but drawing the shoulders back and down away from your ears. Last inhale here. And then exhale. This time, let's curl the right toes under behind us and step forward into a forward fold. So look, I'm in my house just like you, right? So I'm gotta move. I gotta reorganize here and maybe take it to the other side of my mat or to the back of my mat. So go easy with yourself in your home environment. So definitely grab some kind of blocks right now, something that brings the floor a little bit closer to you as you forward fold. So real important that we're folding from our hip crease and not our waist, right? So our waist versus hips. Keep the spine nice and long as you fold forward. And that may mean that you need to bend your knees quite a bit. So your feet can be hip width distance apart. They could be together, whatever seems most comfortable for you today. And see if you can let your head and neck go. So really drop that head down and let the heavy head sort of traction out the spine. Just take it nice and easy in your first forward fold. Now I want you to bend your knees a lot, and we're going to come into a chair pose right now. So just like you're sitting back into a chair, you can have your hands here at your heart center, or you could even try extending your arms up overhead. Heart center, chair. Take a deep breath in this chair, And then as you exhale, forward fold again. Keep those knees bent as much as you want and bring the belly as close to the tops of the thighs as you can. And one more time, we'll inhale up to a chair. Just keep those knees bent like you're sitting back in a chair. And then exhale belly to thighs and fold forward. And we're going to come to standing now. So I want you to use your blocks or use anything that helps you to straighten out that spine, pull your belly towards your spine, and come all the way up to standing. Beautiful. We're going to do just a little bit of a balancing pose right now. If you have a strap with you, grab it, any kind of belt, any kind of strap. It'll just kind of be a fun thing to do once we get into our balancing position. You could definitely use a wall in this case. You could definitely have the back of a chair available to you for any of a balancing pose. Also, creating a nice flat surface is very helpful for balancing. So we're just going to bring our hips, our feet, hip width distance right below our hips. And bring your awareness into your left foot. Kind of spread that foot out on the ground, feeling all edges of the foot making contact with the ground. And then bring your right heel off the ground. And you can stop right here if you'd like. You could also bring the toes up and just bring the knee sort of a little bit closer to parallel. And if this feels good and you want to take it a little further, see if you can bring that thigh all the way to a parallel position. So that's here, or here, or here. And once you're in a balanced pose, you can take your strap and just double it up, which I have to do, you may not have to do, so that you feel like you have maybe a couple of feet of strap in between your hands. And we're just going to stay here in a balance and then see if you can lift those hands up over your head, holding the strap as a tension between the two. And then exhale, let that down. And then one more time, inhale, bring the strap up overhead. And see if you can pull those hands away from each other. And then exhale, put that down. And let the right foot come to the ground. And just shake out your feet. Probably want to shake out your left foot just a touch. And re-ground, rebalance. So right foot, you're going to kind of bring your weight and awareness into that right foot. Think about connecting all of the edges of the foot with the ground. And then bring the left heel off the ground. Whoa. And if you start to lose your balance, then come back. It's okay. It's great. So you can lift that left foot a little bit off the ground. Definitely feel free to use any kind of support from a wall to a chair. And if you want to take a little bit further, you can bring that knee parallel to the ground. And see if you want to grab your strap. See if you want to grab your strap and just inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, arms down. Really pulling the two hands apart from one another. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, bring that down. And then just go ahead and let that left foot meet the right on the ground next to it. Nice job. We are really close on time. So we're going to do one more standing pose, and then we'll get back down to the ground. So I wanted to do Warrior 2 with you today. So come to the center of your mat or the center of your space and take a leg's length distance step out to the right or to the left so that you have about your own leg's length distance between your two heels. And then I want you to pick up the toes of your left foot and pivot those toes out towards the short edge of the mat on that side. And that leaves your, right foot with the toes slightly pointed inwards so that the heel is closer to the edge of the mat on that side than the toes are. Inhale your arms out wide. Make sure you're straightening your arms as much as possible, really pressing out through the fingertips, and make sure that you're allowing your shoulders to drop down and not right up into your ears. Take a deep breath in here, and then exhale, bend into that left knee any amount. If you would like to have a chair here, please feel free to do so. So same thing, where you have stepped your feet wide, about a leg's length distance, and then you can just sit down and let that chair hold you here. So you can really work on lengthening out through the legs and the arms. That is absolutely allowed. Take your gaze over your middle left finger and really breathe here. This is absolutely a challenging pose. And one of the beautiful things to practice in yoga is equanimity in the face of challenge. So use your breath to smooth it out. All right, that's quite enough. Straighten out your left leg, and I want you to pivot those left toes forward and pivot the right toes out. Let's drop our arms. Let's rest. Inhale your arms back out wide. Again, your left heel is closer to the edge of the mat than the left toes. Right toes are pointed out to the side of the mat, of the short edge of the mat. And then inhale here, exhale, bend down into a warrior two. As much or as little as you like. Breathe here as you gaze over the middle finger of the right hand. Smooth out the breath. And on your next inhale, just straighten out the right leg, turn the toes forward, and start to step your way back into center. Very nice job. So you've done a lot of really great work. One of the best parts of yoga is the final resting pose, Shavasana. So find your way back down to the ground with me. If you do have a blanket, you might enjoy having it folded up in a way that would support your head as you're in a final resting pose. But come down all the way onto your backs. I want you to flip your palms up towards the ceiling and let your toes fall out to the side. And see if you can check back in with your breath again. And see what your body is saying to you right now. Are there any areas that are tight? Are you clenching your jaw? Are there any areas that you're holding on to something physically that you could maybe let go of right now? So close your eyes. And just let your breath come and go quite naturally. And as you allow your breath to come and go, allow the thoughts to come and go. But don't let one thought hang around for too long. And anything that your body is telling you right now, just thank it. Thank it for having the courage to speak up to you. Reward it, just like you would a child. And slowly let your eyes flutter open. A very short Shavasana tonight, so that we will have time for question and answers if you want. Just slowly make your way back up to a seated position, rolling over onto one side, pressing your way up to seat in your chair, on your blocks. And this is the best part of the practice, where you thank yourself yet again for taking the time to honor the mind-body connection, to strengthen the union between your breath and your movement, your mind and your body. I thank you all for coming tonight. Namaste.
And Meredith, you have been wonderful taking us through the entire practice tonight. You had mentioned that you can go anywhere from 5 to 90 minutes. What's the sweet spot? Is there a sweet spot? And it probably depends on the person, doesn't it?
It does. It depends really on what you need that day. And I know our schedules don't always allow that. So I would say that if you can carve out 30 minutes for some kind of movement practice that involves breath and body connection, you will absolutely benefit. And it doesn't have to be 30 minutes every day. 30 minutes a few times a week, I think, would be a sweet spot.
Is there a best time to do this? Morning, maybe over the lunch hour, or in the evening? Or again, is it just personal preference?
Definitely personal preference. Great question, Greg. For me, it's a morning time, only because that's the one time I know I'm assured not to have something interrupt the plan. But everybody has that time of day in different spots of the day. So wherever your time is, you're pretty sure not to get railroaded.
If I'm not mistaken, you have worked with the UAB football team. Is that correct?
Yes, that is right. For the first 3 seasons of their return.
What was it like working with the offensive linemen, the 320-pound linemen? Are they pretty good at the movements?
They're really good at it. What they're really good at as athletes is body awareness. And they're also really in touch with what it means to practice something, right? They practice things, and they understand better than most of us that what you practice is what you improve upon. So it was really fun to teach them their superpower with breath awareness. That was probably one of the things that I could teach them that they were aware of, but probably not in the ways that we were talking about it in yoga.
Interesting insight on that. And thank you again for all that you have done for us tonight, all that you do for UAB. I know you and your husband, Wes, have been tremendous supporters of the Blazers over the years, and you have interacted with a lot of people. So again, thank you so much for being Blazers, and thank you for spending your time with us over the last hour.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. And if you haven't checked out the offer, it's 3 free sessions that you can watch through Becca. We will be sending an email with that as well, so you can have that information in front of you. We want to make sure you have that. We want to definitely support one of our own as well. So thank you again, Meredith. Just a heads up for everybody that joined us tonight, a recording of this will be available on our website if you missed anything, or if you want to replicate the practice in the future. Meanwhile, be sure to join us for other virtual events, less interactive, but very important on their own. Later this month, we will find out how we can improve our health literacy as a part of Health Literacy, Finding Information You Can Trust. That is on February 18th. Then on February 25th, we will host our Backpacks to Briefcases Blazing Ahead. Then we will look at basic budgeting, building credit, and looking towards the future with Legacy Credit Union. Then on March 4th, Dr. Holly Wyatt will join us for How You Can Achieve Lifestyle Wellness. This webinar will reveal a never-before-seen initiative from the Department of Nutrition Sciences. On April 6th, we will explore more about the history of UAB, Birmingham, and Alabama during UAB's oral history collection. I'm a history buff. I'm looking forward to that one. I'm looking forward to all of these, but especially that one. And on April 22nd, join us as we dig deep into gerosciences during What's the Latest Science Say About Living Longer, Healthier Lives? Register for all of our events at alumni.uab.edu/events. You can also go to our website and look at previous webinars as well. The National Alumni Society is also excited to announce that the 15th annual scholarship run presented by Viva Health will be hosted virtually from April 23rd through Monday, April 26th. You can sign up for this year's virtual run on our website. Just go to alumni.uab.edu/5K-10K or go to Run Sign Up and search UAB Scholarship Run. And let us help get you through your day at work. Listen to our podcast. We'd love for you to give us a review for UAB Green and Told. This podcast allows us to share stories from members of the UAB community. Our latest guest is John Doherty, a 1998 alum and a well-traveled member of the UAB Critical Care Transport Service, where he went under the cover of darkness for one of their transports. Fantastic story with him. Find and subscribe to our podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or visit alumni.uab.edu/greenandtold. And be sure to stay on top of all things we have to offer on social media. We can be found at UAB Alumni on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And look us up on LinkedIn by searching UAB Alumni Career Community. Finally, if you want more information about us or just to get in contact with us, we can be found at alumni.uab.edu on the internet, or just email alumni@uab.edu. So once again, thank you so much for joining us for tonight's discussion with Meredith Calhoun. The practice was splendid. Check it out online again. Have a great evening. And as always, go Blazers.
Go Blazers.